Schaefer. And right up the middle goes Noah. And he busts through and touchdown. Back to pass is Cale looking over to his left. He got his man there. That is Tristan Willis. And he may be gone to the races. He makes one man miss. He's down to 5. Touchdown! Rejoice Christian Eagles. As Tristan White did a lot of that on his own, making several miss.
All right, well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Rejoice Christian Eagles Coaches Show. Coming to you live we're sitting on the turf at the indoor facility, the beautiful Gibbs indoor facility. I'm Bill Bush, along with my wingman, Mark Kirk, and head coach of the Eagles, Brent Marley, and offensive coordinator, Casey Willis. And, Coach, last week's game is really just what the doctor ordered. I mean, perfect medicine coming off of a tough loss the previous time out over at Cassia. The Eagles, I thought, for the most part, looked pretty sharp. Took a big lead. Then the Crusaders got back in the game in the third quarter, but then the Eagles, we slammed the door shut by scoring 21 unanswered points in the third quarter, and then to take a commanding 49-21 lead going into the fourth quarter. What were your initial thoughts after I know looking film you might think a little different than right after the game, but, you had to be, I would think, pretty pleased with what happened and what transpired.
Yeah, I think they're a good football team. They're good in the box. They're physical. They've got a junior quarterback, 14 seniors. They've been a traditionally, good program. And so them coming over here and knowing they're good, they lost to OCS week 1, and we knew OCS was 3-0 in 2A1 and ranked in the top 10. And so they lost to them on the last play of the game.
If I read right, I thought they thought they were going to be playing for overtime, and there was like 3 seconds left, and got beat on like you said, last-second play.
Yeah, they actually had the ball, and it was fourth down.
And they kneeled?
And they took a knee with 3 seconds to go, and it's an automatic turnover, and they stop the clock when that happens. So OCS, I guess it was maybe 2 or 1 second on the clock. They get the ball for one play and throw a Hail Mary, and the kid actually just got behind 2 people. It really wasn't a Hail Mary. He just hit a kid at like the 4-yard line. He just ran in the end zone and scored and won. So, that was crazy. But it was a good win. It started off with a bang. First play, obviously. I know we'll probably talk about that, but couldn't be more proud of the way Camion stepped in there and hitting ZZ. I think we told the kids all week we're going to score on the first play. You can't always do that, but we felt like we knew we were and just had that confidence too, and really jumped out ahead with a great lead, which really wound up being a huge blessing with the way they cut it down in the third, and the momentum was really all theirs, and I was really proud of our kids, the way they responded.
For a bit.
Right. It was all theirs just for a minute, and our kids, it was good to be in that position in the third quarter, in the second half of a ball game, to have someone else have the momentum, and we're up 28-21, and to be able to take care of business. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, we'll take a quick recap of last week's game. In the first quarter, the Crusaders won the toss, and they actually did a Casey Willis trick on taking the ball, receiving the kickoff instead of deferring. Those offensive coordinators, they want the ball, every time.
More chances.
Right, exactly.
Easier to score when you have it.
That's right. And after a touchback, they drove down to the Rejoice 15-yard line, where the defensive player of the game, Cade Schaefer, recovered the first of 4 Crusader fumbles at the 19-yard line. And on the very first play from scrimmage, you had mentioned Camion Comptonero hooked up with Zizi Okufuluezi. How you like that?
That was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
For an 81-yard strike, I'm getting better. It's starting to roll off the tongue a little better. But for an 81-yard pass play, then that was our big player of the game play for a 7-0 lead after a successful PAT by Duncan Andrus. The Crusaders once again got inside the Eagles' red zone, drove down to the 16-yard line, but where the D was stiffened up, forcing a 33-yard field goal to narrow the lead to 7-3. And after a holding penalty on the ensuing kickoff negated a nice 46-yard return by Camion, the Eagles, aided by a huge chunks of yardage from Noah Goodwin, and we'll talk about him because he had a night, scored when Comptonero dropped a dime to Tristan Willis.
Great catch.
Who
great
made
throw.
a fantastic catch in the corner of the end zone for a 21-yard pitch and catch for a freshman-to-freshman connection touchdown, and the PAT was good. So was that dialed up for Tristan or on those type plays? I mean, obviously.
Yeah. No, I mean.
Did you all of a sudden you became dad? Just
No.
at least for 5 seconds.
Honestly, half the time I don't know who's in the game. That's why I'm not down on the sideline. No, honestly, it was second down, and I was thinking just get out quick, and I was actually yelling on the headset, throw it to Blake, because Blake popped open right away, and I was like, throw it to Blake, and he kept rolling out, and I was like, oh, no.
He held on to that ball for a long time.
I know. I was like, all right, well. And but great pass, and honestly, I thought it was not going to be completed, and then I saw the catch, and then I realized it was. I was like, wow, all right, well, okay, that works too.
We'll have something to talk about at the house tonight.
Yeah, well, we'd always drop it in that 2x2 window over there.
Sure,
No problem.
Great place. But there's a lot of instances where I was kind of wondering what we were doing, and it ended up with huge plays or even touchdowns, and I'm just like, all right, well, we'll talk about that one, but it's always good to end with points on the board. So,
well, and after that, the Crusaders, they again drove deep into Eagles territory, and the defense came up big again when freshman Max Eichmann recovered a fumble at the 36-yard line, and then on 2nd and 14 from the 32, Noah Goodwin caught a pass in the flat and rambled 68 yards to pay dirt. So not only was he doing it rushing, doing it with a little flat pass out there and just
speed.
Yeah, opened it up.
I think that's the thing that surprised me the most was the speed once he got out in the open. Mm-hmm. He really accelerated away.
Yeah, PAT was good. Obviously, again, that ended up scoring in the first quarter, ended up a 21-3 ball game. It was 21-10 after both in the second quarter. After both offenses' drives stalled out, the Crusaders drove 64 yards for their first touchdown of the night, and their PAT was good. It was 28-10, which was it became 28-10 when aided in part by offensive POG, player of the game, Camion Compton Nero, his 43-yard quarterback draw. The Eagles were able to drive 80 yards and scored when Noah Goodwin busted through the line for a 30-yard touchdown run. The PAT was good. The Eagles then forced another Crusader fumble at their own 22-yard line, but came up empty when Duncan Andrus missed on a 37-yard field goal attempt, which, it probably could have sealed the deal if the play before that or two plays before that, if Z is able to come up with that catch at the 4-yard line and we punch it in and go up, instead of 28-13, go up now 35-13, that might have really started poking holes in the sails.
Yeah, that's one he probably wants back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one where you're turning to run into the end zone and
you forgot something.
Yeah. But he did a good job of coming back to the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he was so anxious to get in. But then that was the first half scoring. In the third quarter, the Eagles opening drive stalled when they were stopped on 4th down from the OCH 43-yard line. How did we decide to – because I'm just curious what goes through your mind. We're at the 43, it's 4th down, and we decide to go for it at midfield, and they've already narrowed the score to 28-21. What goes through that process on, you know what, let's go for it. We're at midfield. Let's go instead of punting and pinning them deep.
Well, I got a quarter up there, and I just flip it. We just call it. Yeah, do we go for it? No, I defer.
Heads, tails, yes, no.
I have play ready most times. I'm waiting for the go from the head guy, and he said let's go for it, and then he said let's just run trap, and we're like all right, let's go left then, and worked out pretty well for us.
Well, we work that play we ran a formation. Well, let me go back. This huge play was the play before, and you and I talked about this after the game, Bill, but it was 3rd and 18 or 19, and Camion threw a ball that Blake Witten dove and caught.
Stealing my thunder.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, we're talking about
no,
this
go
play,
ahead, because it's the very next one.
Which put us in position to think about going for it. If I think I'm right, we lined up in our trips bunch.
This was actually a different time we went. So we went for 4th down on the one I'm talking about and didn't make it.
Okay.
Yeah.
They took over.
I gotcha. I'm talking about the next one.
Yeah.
The next series.
Well, they took over, and they were able to go down and score. Yep. That narrowed the lead to 28-21. And so on the next possession that we had, that's where it's 4th and – it's 3rd and I've got it down here. We went 4th and 2 from their own 43-yard line for a 57-yard touchdown. But that's what it made their score, the 28-21. But to stretch out that lead, that's when Blake Witten, if he doesn't make that, it's 3rd and 20, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He makes a 19-yard reception to give us 4th and 1.
Yep.
In our opinion, we're thinking if we don't make that completion, and he made an unbelievable catch because it wasn't one of these up here. It's down there taking it right off the turf.
Exactly.
Makes that 19-yard. I'm thinking, they've already narrowed it to 28-21. I'm thinking we're punting there for sure because we're all the way
You
back.
can kind of feel that momentum wave just really kind of creeping up over the top of us. So
If we don't make that on the 25, we're on the 25.
We're not going for it.
Right.
Right.
And so now
He probably wants to, but
and if Blake wouldn't have got the big play of the previous game, we probably would have given that because in our opinion, we talked about that probably as much as just about any play during the whole game because to me, that was the momentum shifter big time because, that changes the whole outlook of the game because now you're going for it, you make it, you go down and score and make the score now 35-21 instead of punting away with them a chance to tie it up.
Mm-hmm.
I think every game you go back and look, and there's a couple plays here and there that they go a different way. It's a totally different outcome.
Exactly.
I don't like to punt. I don't really even like practicing punt at practice. But I think all our guys are pretty confident in running a play. And sometimes it doesn't work out. We got stopped one time. I know one time it was there. We just didn't make the play. But I feel very confident in our guys making plays that I feel that there's a better chance of us, if you give us another down, that we'll get that first down. And so definitely a big play there because it ended up with points on the board.
Yep.
We got a question from Lou Brown. He's wondering he wants to know who won the bowling competition today between the coaches.
Oh, we're all losers. Well, I'll tell you this. Let me preface this, okay? We have a little competition on Thursday, a little coaches' fun, and we do a football bowling out there on the field. I have won the majority of the times or finished second, okay? I'm just stating facts, okay?
Everybody says that.
I know.
Everybody we talk to says the same
but
thing.
I tell the truth. It's actually on the board in there. We can go look at it. And I've realized I have to work with these guys, and we play tomorrow, and I can't have these guys going in there defeated.
Man.
So these coaches, I really need them. They're at their best. So
I've heard that you're always thinking about everybody
these
else.
guys. I care about them.
Putting yourself last.
I really care about them. So I thought, today I'm gonna let somebody else win.
well,
How magnanimous.
I know.
and I would
Thank you.
and I would say too that after practice we always have a team meeting, right? Well, I'm normally doing that team meeting. Well, these guys are all getting warmed up on their bowling. And then they do it for 30 minutes. And then I go over there and like, okay, let's go. We gotta play now.
No warm-ups.
No warm-ups for me.
Hey.
Yeah, that's what I mean. No warm-ups. It's got to go.
Yeah, it's all right. It's fine. No excuses.
So I'm guessing you didn't win.
Not
Okay, but no excuses.
Hasn't won yet. Ever.
Hasn't won.
So.
No. Hasn't. No.
A little less this.
It's coming though.
You got time to warm up.
Yeah.
So the Eagles did hold the Crusaders on their next offensive series, and then they went to the Schaefer twin connection because under tremendous pressure by Cade Schaefer on their quarterback, he threw up a pass, and Luke Schaefer got underneath it and returned it all the way down to the Crusaders' 11-yard line, which eventually set up a 6-yard touchdown run by Camion, the point after good. And on the ensuing kickoff, Mark and I were sitting there watching, because I don't know if what's going through their mind, like, okay, Duncan's going to kick it through the end zone.
Usually,
it's going to be a touchback. But it didn't, and it hits the guy right in the chest. He's sitting on about the 5-yard line, and it just, it just bounced off his checks and
20 yards.
Yeah, out to the 18-yard line, and Ben Nichols was able to jump on top of it, and that was their fourth turnover. That was their fourth fumble of the night.
Yeah.
That
they had 5
recovered.
turnovers, I think.
Yeah. And of course, then the 8-yard toss and catch from Compton Nero to Ben Nichols, the PAT good, and then in the fourth quarter, Duncan. And I'm guessing, we're up. A lot of people say, why is he kicking a field goal? Why isn't he just going for it or, and giving the ball back? But you got to let Duncan I'm thinking that, okay, he missed his first try. to keep the confidence up, yes, point afters, that's a chip shot.
Well, that's what preseason games are for too.
Yeah.
Get everything out there, give everybody an opportunity to
Gotta work on
Pre-district
those things.
games.
pre-district. Yeah, not preseason.
But
pre-district.
in essence, a preseason game, but the pre-district games. I mean, is that what you're thinking also? Is
Well, there's
he needs a chance?
no practice for a field goal kicker like live action. You just cannot simulate it. You can take a kicker out on. A lot of kids can go out there and kick on a tee, or someone just holding
Kick
it with no
50
rush.
yarders
They
all
kick
day long.
50 yarders and it's easy.
Yeah.
Put a lineup in front of them, and then you put a lineup in front of them in a real game, and it's a totally different perspective. And we may need that down the road in that situation. And actually, a field goal from him might be more vital practice-wise than if we're already up so much in the games at hand. Than if we went and scored another one. I know, he probably would score a touchdown. I would too, but it's good practice for him. I'm glad he made it.
At some point in the season, it will matter a lot.
Yeah.
You guys, I maybe remember, we didn't lose a home game here since we've been here for it was almost 5 years. And the first home game we ever lost on this field was number 1 versus number 2, Afton, and we lost on a blocked field goal.
Afton, that's right.
At the very end.
Yeah.
And that was our first home loss ever.
Yeah. And so, those aren't fun.
No.
It's much more fun to win.
So, you got to practice that stuff.
So, Coach Willis, I ask you, when you're looking at the film and the stats, Christian Heritage actually moved the ball pretty well. But but we were able to take advantage of their turnovers. We caused some of them ourselves, but some of them were just self-inflicted. The big takeaway is that we were able to take advantage of the extra offensive series. We joke about you wanting to take the ball on kickoffs, but anytime the other team is going to give you an additional offensive series, you got to take advantage of that. And I really thought the offense looked pretty confident.
Yeah, when we scored on the first play offensively after we stopped them, I think we gained a ton of confidence, especially. You got a freshman quarterback trying to settle in. He's nervous. I know he was nervous all week. Great athlete, but you're still a freshman. And to get those points on the board quickly, I think everybody was just kind of settled down. It's like, but I knew that what we can do if we execute. But I always remind them what we also can do if we don't execute. Like Cassia Hall, we turn the ball over way too many times. And so, I know, yards were given up defensively. They broke some long runs. It was kind of a boom or bust game a lot of the time. It was either a big play one way or a big play the other way. And but
there were a lot of
it was either a 10-yard loss or a 70-yard touchdown. But working through those things and just gaining confidence every time you get to go back out there is a big factor. And I thought, by the end of the fourth quarter, especially that third quarter when we were able to score, you could see it. These guys were now just playing free. Yeah, and
right.
It's tough. It's tough when you turn the ball over a lot. We've been there.
Yep.
It's more fun being on our side
by far
than the other side. We've been there, like you said.
Yeah.
Well, looking at some of the offensive leaders, you had in passing, you had Camion Compton Nero, 14 of 18 for 254 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Kenyon Terwilliger was 7 for 9, only had 24 yards and 2 interceptions. In receiving, you had Z with 2 receptions for 89 yards and a touchdown. Noah Goodwin, 1 reception for 68 yards that went for a touchdown. Ben Nichols had 4 receptions for 30 yards and a touchdown. Tristan Willis, we talked about that catch, 2 receptions for 30 yards and that 1 TD. Carson Losey, 2 receptions for 20 yards, and then Blake Witten had 2 receptions for 20 yards, but that 19-yarder was a big one that kept that drive going. In the rushing categories, we had Noah Gooden with a monstrous night, 12 rushes for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. And you're probably thinking, well, how did he get the play, not get the player of the game? Well, Camion had a big night too, and we've only got so many player of the game cards to go around, and again those sponsors by Jersey Mike's, and then Mojica had 8 rushes for 17 yards. So all in all, I like how we're starting to narrow it down and get our team focused on, all right, here are the guys that need to have the ball in their hands. These are the guys that are going to do the biggest part of it. You still got, guys that can come in and do the backup because when Mojica gets in there, he runs hard. Mm-hmm. But I don't know that I've seen anybody that we've played, maybe the kid from Golby or the guy from Cassia.
Oh, Darby.
Darby.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe him, but you don't see very many guys running as hard as what Noah does.
Oh yeah, he gets to second level. He's probably going to break a tackle.
Right.
Which is always great to see. Well, I'll take the 8-yard gains. But if that 8-yard gain, we block it up real well, and that 8-yard gain turns into a 40-yard touchdown.
Right.
That's always a weapon that you're glad to have. But like you said, I think we talked about before the season, especially I know we're a little light on the depth on the offensive line, but skill position-wise, I think we talked about we probably have more depth this year than we've had in a long time, maybe ever, of kids
they're
that just
young.
yeah
You do have a
they
lot
are.
of depth.
And they get in there and they want it just as bad, and the competition between these guys is great, and everybody's wanting to make a play, and everybody's confident when they get in there that they can do it. And I think even just looking around at each other, no one has any lack of confidence in anyone that comes in the game. They just know that it's next man up, ready to go, and that also is a benefit. I came from a team in high school where you didn't get a break. You went in and there was no break. So it's nice
on
to
either side of the ball.
Oh, either side ever. So it's nice to have somebody at least give you a spell for here and there, and you're not going to fall off greatly. That things are still going to keep rolling.
Take Noah for an example. He had a fantastic night. You could tell. He was getting a little beat though.
Yeah.
And to have Mojica come in and be able and not really lose anything.
Right.
He still kept the ball moving and ran hard.
Yep.
It was really nice.
Yeah, we're gonna need them all, and a lot of those guys, everybody plays both ways in some degree, but a lot of them are counted on a lot. So, we're by the end of the season, and these guys, we're gonna need every single one of them. So it's good.
I like to say that our offensive line blocked our counter and trap schemes really well.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to say.
Those guys up front, and take nothing away from Noah. Noah hits it so hard and fast, and just a tremendous night for him. Mm-hmm. He's a yards after contact guy.
Right.
It'd be interesting to see. Most of his yards have been after contact, and it's usually multiple contact, 2 or 3. And so what a weapon. And Jason, like you said, when Jason comes in, Jason has the same heart and fire that Noah has. Jason's just a freshman,
right,
and he doesn't have the physique yet, but
or the experience.
But he's got the same passion running the ball. So it is a great 1-2 there.
Well, the thing I notice about Noah is that a lot of these players, they'll come in and they'll get up and they try to do a little too much dancing, whatever, and then they get hit, and they're the ones that get hit. He delivers the hit. Mm-hmm. When he goes to the line, if you're a Mike linebacker or if you're going to get hit in the mouth, and he's going to make you tackle him because he's not going to just go on the first contact, like you said.
Right. Well, I think the difference, it gives him the opportunity to get a little bit ahead of steam going if the line gets that block. Give him just a little bit of a gap.
Give him a seam.
That first line, right? That first level of defense, and if he gets one step on him, gets a little bit ahead of speed built up, then you're right. Those linebackers have got trouble.
Yeah. Fun fact: Jason's first name really is Noah.
Is it really? Yeah. So is Jason his middle name?
Yeah, he goes by Jason, but
so Noah Jason.
The 2 Noahs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you guys want to, y'all can just say Noah.
Noah's got the ball, and it doesn't matter which one's got it.
Yeah, no.
Well, I think Mark's got some questions about the defensive side of the
on
things.
The defense, I thought it was a really good night again. You're right. Between the 20s, sometimes it seemed like that. Christian Heritage had moved the ball, but then whenever it came time to really bow up and play, it was the defense really stood up. And of course, getting those turnovers was really nice. Again, some of them were maybe self-inflicted.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of hitting going on that night. There was a lot of pads popping. You could hear them all the way up, and I thought that was very. I love that part, but. I know it was really nice to get Kalen back out on the field, too, and see that size out there. Yeah. What was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that was great. It's fun to see him. He got hurt at our Pawhuska scrimmage, and he's one of our biggest guys, right? We don't have a guy his size with his height and size, and so it was good to get him back. And, just the whole defensive – Coach Eckel had him ready, had a great job, did a great job. Coach Warren, Coach Johnson. We bent, but we didn't break.
Right.
I was really shocked at the end of the night seeing they rushed for over 200 yards. I didn't realize it was that close, but like you said, it didn't seem that way because when they would get down there, we were able to stop them.
Yeah, bow up and stop the thing. Again, it was between the 20s, right? And it just seemed like whenever the time came that the defense really needed to stand up, they performed virtually every time.
Right.
I thought it was really good.
Yep.
We had, again, one of the things, Bill and I try and keep up with, with all the tackles and everything else that's going on. And, it seems like over the last couple of years we'd have 4, 5, 6, maybe 8 guys that you really kind of did the lion's share of the tackle. But now we've got lists. Everybody out there is getting in on the game.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of folks standing around. They're converging to the ball. A lot of good things are going on. Our play of the game last time, Cade Schaefer, 13 tackles, 9 solo, a sack. And then Carson Losey, 11 tackles, 5 solo, one for a loss. Maverick Gwynn, 9 tackles, 5 solo, 2 sacks. Jet McCain, 7 tackles, 4 solos. Luke Schaefer, 6 tackles, 3 solo, an interception and a pass breakup. Noah Schnockenberg, 6 tackles, 3 solo, 1 for a loss. And then
fumble recovery.
Oh yeah, fumble recovery. That's right. So that's right. 4 fumble recovers on that. Of course, the most. I think the funnest one was on that kickoff.
Yeah.
I've never seen a ball do that before.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's like it hit a brick wall.
It was
Yeah.
like it hit a brick wall and bounced straight back off, and it just like, and he was like on maybe the 2-yard line.
I think it was on the 5 and went out to the 20-yard line.
Why was he touching the ball to begin with? But
Right.
anyway, it was good. Cartier Cree, 8 tackles, 2 solo. Defense, did a fantastic job, like you said, bending, not breaking, and it was just, again, I think it's one of the things that I've noticed really from last year to this year, the defense just really started to come on. Yeah. And, I think a lot of the guys have gotten a lot of experience over the last couple of years, and it's really showing. And then getting the new guys in, and then again, they're just kind of filling those spots and flying to the ball and doing a good job. And it seems like we're not really, from a size standpoint, it's not like we're oversized or anything else.
No,
they're just. Not. I think it's defense. A lot of it comes from right here, right?
Yeah.
And it's how you play the game. And I think from my perspective, I really like the things that are going on right now.
Yeah, we have a lot of kids that are. I talk I tell them you got to be a bunch of piranhas, right? But they go after they go after the ball. Cade Schaefer, that's why he's defensive player of the game. All those tackles, Cade has a tremendous desire to get to the ball. And we've all had different dogs in our life, and some will go fetch like crazy, and some you throw it and they just stare at you. Well, we got a bunch of kids that'll go fetch right now, and you put more and more kids together that will go fetch and go after the ball. It's a great thing. Like you said, not overly sized, but we're pretty quick and athletic, and we have a lot of speed. One thing I have noticed I've been very well pleased with is when, even the other night, Christian Heritage, when they would break one or get out to the races, that it gets closed down pretty quick. And there's normally 4 or 5 kids there to make a tackle for a 30-yard gain instead of it going to the house so
Exactly.
far. So, and then that's a good thing. Our pursuit's been good. And like you said, we just got kids that want to go play.
Absolutely. Defense, I love defense. I mean, for me, that's the best part of the game. But, defense really does give offense the opportunity to really perform. And I think it's just been a really nice mix so far this season, especially these last couple games. I like that one. And I like the effort that I'm seeing. I think it's a good part of the game for sure.
Well, and the what we call the second part of the season starts tomorrow night as the Eagles will open up district play, traveling down to Haskell to take on the Haymakers. And I'm going to tell you, first of all, that's one of my all-time favorite names is the Haymakers.
Isn't it like a boxing term or something like that?
Well, it is, but it's also because you got a bunch of big old farm boys that bale hay and everything, so they're making hay down there. That's what it conjures up images of me are big old farm boys. And this year's team, it's no exception. I mean, you look at their roster, and you've got it there in front of you, Coach, but you look at their roster, and they've got guys listed at 221 pounds, 231, 237, 239, 249, 255, 280, 307, and they've got one guy that's 6'5", 365 pounds. I mean – did he have to come down from the Dallas Cowboys or something? I mean, 6'5".
They probably could use him.
Oh my, yeah.
Yeah. What's the score right now?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm hoping that they're big and slow guys. I mean, because that's some size. I mean, so what do we know about the Haymakers on their offensive side of the game? I mean, obviously they got some guys they can put on the line, but are they guys that are going to open up holes, and are there certain things we've got to watch for them?
They're big up front, and their quarterback's a running quarterback. He's a good-sized kid. Their quarterback is listed at 6'3", 185. They've got a running back that's a freshman, number 44. He's 250 pounds. And so they're just big. They love to run stretch.
If he was a Rejoice, he'd be playing line probably.
Yeah, you don't have a choice here. But, yeah. No, I mean, they love to they're pretty simple in the run schemes. They don't pull a whole lot. They do pull a little bit with their tackles, but they like to run stretch and get out on you and just try to maul you, and get out on you and get a hold of you and use that size and get the ball upfield.
So, Coach Willis, I asked you as far as, as good as Noah has been on a tear on the ground the last couple of weeks, most of it goes between the tackles. I mean, there was a little, flare pass out there in the flat, but most of it is between the tackles. With that type of line size, are we going to have some success on the ground, or we got some things to address that, I'm sure?
Yeah, well, we're going to have to run the ball. Every game, it's just finding different ways to do that. And, sometimes as coaches, I look at a quick screen, a bubble pass that goes for 6 or 7 or more. I look at that as a run play. It's stretching the defense, horizontally. Some of our run plays are a slot receiver coming in motion, trying to stretch the field horizontally. It's quarterback run. It's, our halfback run. At some point in the season, I hope we're able to just line up and cram it down somebody's throat. That'd be great. It makes play calling a little easy. But I don't know. We're not quite there yet, and we have to use different ways. But we are quick, so we have to use what we got, and we're going to try to stretch teams out and create gaps and holes, and you can't coach size, but also having speed is also.
It's a good equalizer.
If I can't have size, I'll take speed.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Take speed.
And so we use that in a lot of different ways, and it works out well for us. What
kind of defense do they play? Do they stunt a lot, or is it basically like straight up?
They do. They do some twists and stunts, and I haven't seen a ton of pressure, but you know what? I've scouted teams for years, and then I show up on game day, and they're doing something totally different.
Well, especially coming into the district. We know they haven't seen everything we do.
Right.
They haven't seen everything we do because these are the games that start to matter.
Right.
Yeah. So, we're going to be prepared for everything. Every front, we always practice against every front available just because I've seen it on the first drive. We're prepared. We just have to execute, and that's what I tell them all the time. We're really good when we execute, and guys, we're not very good if we don't execute. So we kind of control that, so that's a good thing.
Well, so that's your final thoughts, Coach Marley. Final thoughts going in tomorrow night?
So thankful for our crowd last Friday night. I mean, it is. There's people standing on the stairs all the way down the fence, wrapping around. There's no place to sit here at home games, and I just hope that our fan base wants to take a 50-minute drive. You can stop in Coweta and eat at Roy's Chicken.
That's the place I was trying to remember.
Roy's.
I said chicken. So it was a chicken place.
And you realize that he's got one in Owasso now.
He does.
Oh, is it the same guy?
Roy's.
Oh,
Same
okay.
guy.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
drive through only, but yeah.
Okay.
So
I don't know if it's open yet.
It's not. I don't think. It's
I would know.
Very soon. Yeah, you'd know, man.
I drink their gravy. So, but yeah, no. I mean, it's going to be a beautiful night for football. The high tomorrow is like in the low 80s.
Yep.
Finally, football weather.
Yes.
Yep.
Finally, football
for a
weather.
couple weeks probably.
So hopefully our fans come out to Haskell.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and we sure love for the Eagle Nation to show up in Haskell tomorrow night. Like Coach said, as we open up district play. The Eagles, they're going to start in earnest tomorrow night towards that Class A gold ball. And so let's do what Eagle fans do. Let's show up. But if you can't, Mark and I will bring you the game right here on this same YouTube channel. Pre-game will be about 6:50, kickoff 7 o'clock. And so we'll be down there to bring you all the action. And for my wingman, Mark Kirk, and coaches Brent Marley and Casey Willis, and, of course, our engineer Todd Whitten. I'm Bill Bush, and you've been watching the Rejoice Christian Eagles Coaches Show on Rejoice Athletics TV. Good night, God bless, and go Eagles.